Have you ever achieved something huge, a promotion, a major milestone, buying that dream item only to feel completely hollow afterward? That sudden silence when the excitement wears off, revealing an empty space inside. That unsettling feeling that maybe, just maybe, you are not living the life you were meant to live? It's a terrifying moment when you realize that all the external achievements in the world cannot fill an internal vacuum. That profound sense of, what is the point, is not a sign that you are broken. It is the ultimate distress signal from your deep psyche, and today, we are going to explore the radical roadmap provided by the psychological giant, Carl Jung, who dedicated his entire life to answering this exact question. Get ready for a deep dive that might just rewire your entire approach to existence, because the truth about purpose is far more complicated and far more heroic than you think. Hello everyone. You know that nagging emptiness, right? We chase success, money, and perfect relationships, but still, we feel like something vital is missing. This isn't just the Monday blues. It's an existential crisis, a deep psychological hunger. Carl Jung believed this feeling wasn't a flaw, but a signpost. He argued that our modern world has fundamentally severed us from our spiritual and instinctual roots, leaving us operating purely on the surface, driven by external expectations, resulting in a pervasive crisis of meaning. When you feel purposeless, it's often because your conscious self is completely detached from the unconscious truth of who you are designed to be. He called this painful process neurosis, not as a medical diagnosis, but as a deep split within the self. A powerful call for psychological integration, demanding immediate attention. So, if that neurosis is the symptom, what exactly is the cure? Jung's answer is the concept of individuation. Think of it as becoming truly whole, not just being unique, but becoming a fully integrated human being. It's the lifelong psychological process of synthesizing the conscious and unconscious aspects of your personality. It is the journey from being a generic, compliant member of society to becoming the distinct, complete, and fully realized person you were meant to be. Recognizing your uniqueness while also acknowledging your connection to the whole of humanity. This, my friends, is where authentic purpose truly lies, not in an external job title, but in the internal realization of your full unique potential. Guided by your deepest self, before you can embark on this journey of individuation. However, Jung says you must first smash one massive obstacle, the persona. The persona is simply the mask we wear in public. The socially acceptable facade, the good employee, the successful entrepreneur, the perfect parent. It's necessary for social functioning and interaction, sure, but if we over-identify with it, we become hollow shells, living a life that isn't ours, driven by approval rather than integrity. Jung warned that confusing the persona with your true self is the #1 psychological cause of later life crisis. When the mask inevitably slips, or society removes the stage, what's left underneath to sustain your sense of meaning and continuity? Imagine the high-powered executive who defines herself entirely by her title and net worth. When she retires or loses her job, she collapses into despair because her entire sense of meaning was tied to an external, temporary, and ultimately superficial role. The persona was her master, not her servant. Real purpose means understanding that the CEO title, the successful writer status, or the perfect parent image is just a role you play, a tool you utilize, not the essence of your soul itself. We must learn to wear the mask lightly, understanding that our true source of meaning is far more profound, complex, and stable than any fleeting social role or expectation others place upon us. Now, for the really uncomfortable bit. The crucial first step everyone avoids, confronting the shadow. The shadow is the repressed, darker side of your personality, the jealousies, the unacted aggression, the laziness, the socially unacceptable desires, the raw instincts you've been told are bad. We usually push this stuff deep into the basement of our minds, hoping the lights stay off and we never have to look at it again. But here's the Jungian paradox. These repressed elements hold immense, untapped psychological energy, and ignoring the shadow doesn't make it disappear. It makes it control you from the depths, sabotaging every attempt you make at conscious, purposeful living. Jung famously said, and this sounds radical, "The debt to the devil is paid by living it." This doesn't mean becoming morally evil. It means acknowledging those dark or difficult traits, bringing them into the light of conscious awareness, and integrating their inherent energy in a conscious, constructive way. For example, the repressed aggression might become the necessary assertiveness required to set healthy boundaries and pursue a difficult goal. Or the perceived laziness might be transformed into a vital, recognized need for deep, restorative rest that honors the body's cyclical demands. True integration frees up massive psychic energy that is absolutely essential for fueling your life's deepest, most meaningful purpose. As we peel back these layers of the self, Jung introduces us to the anima and animus. These are the cross-gender archetypes that represent the unconscious contrasexual aspects of our personality. The anima is the feminine principle in men, and the animus is the masculine principle in women. Integrating them means achieving psychological balance, men connecting with their intuition, emotional depth, and capacity for relational warmth. Women connecting with their assertive logic, structural competence, and capacity for objective thought. A psychologically balanced psyche, achieved through the acceptance and integration of these internal opposites, is an absolute prerequisite for finding true, stable, and multifaceted meaning. This leads us to the broader understanding of archetypes. Jung believed that we all share a collective unconscious, a universal reservoir of ancestral memories and primordial images called archetypes. Think of the hero, the sage, the innocent, the great mother, or the trickster. These aren't personal memories, but universal patterns of human behavior and motivation. When we understand which archetypes are currently dominating our lives, or which ones we are actively ignoring or suppressing, we gain profound insights into our deep life script. Our true purpose often aligns not just with our personal goals, but with fulfilling a certain universal archetypal destiny in a uniquely individual way. Jung also noticed something fascinating about the timing of the search for meaning. The true existential reckoning often hits around age 40, the infamous midlife crisis. He saw this not as a breakdown to be medicated or avoided, but as a crucial, necessary breakthrough. The first half of life is dedicated primarily to establishing the persona and dealing with the external world, career, family status. The second half, however, must be rigorously dedicated to the internal work of individuation and soul-making. If you ignore this powerful internal call, the unconscious forces revolt, leading to genuine suffering, profound psychological stagnation, and a pervasive feeling of pointlessness that nothing external can soothe. For Jung, purpose was strongly linked to vocation, but he did not just mean a job that pays the bills. He meant a sacred calling, something that aligns with the deepest, most ethical core of your being, something that demands integrity. This true calling is often difficult, perhaps lonely, precisely because it demands authenticity and truth, forcing you to prioritize internal validation over external approval. When you follow this deep, internal pull, your life doesn't just feel busy or functional. It feels fundamentally meaningful, rooted, and necessary. The external rewards become purely secondary to the profound internal sense of correctness and soulful fulfillment. So, how do you practically access this internal map and figure out what your psyche is asking you to do? Through the language of the unconscious, symbols, and dreams. Jung was a revolutionary interpreter of dreams, seeing them not as random nonsense, but as direct, encrypted messages from the psyche, offering sophisticated clues about where integration is desperately needed and what existential path truly leads to purpose. He strongly encouraged everyone to keep a meticulous dream journal, viewing the symbols within, be they animals, strange figures, or houses, not as static objects, but as powerful, dynamic guides whispering the truth about your current existential and psychological situation. One of Jung's most fascinating and uplifting concepts is synchronicity, the occurrence of meaningful coincidence. It's when an external event mirrors an internal psychological state without any known causal link, like thinking of an old friend and immediately receiving a call from them. When you are truly aligned with your deepest path, when you are living authentically and undergoing genuine individuation, Jung observed that these synchronous events start happening more frequently, confirming that you are on the right track, that the external world is somehow harmonizing with your internal state. They are the universe's subtle, powerful nods telling you, yes, this is your purpose. Keep going. Many people attempt to fill the void created by a lack of purpose with escapism, consumerism, endless entertainment, chasing short-term highs, or addiction. Jung would argue that these are temporary narcotics that only deepen the underlying existential wound by distracting you from the real work. Escapism successfully delays the necessary painful confrontation with the self, ensuring that when the reckoning finally comes, and it always does, it will be all the more brutal and overwhelming. Purpose requires immense courage and integrity, not comfort or distraction. We must consistently choose the hard path of self-discovery over the easy path of numbing complacency. This journey of individuation is absolutely not comfortable or easy. In fact, Jung believed that suffering was an integral and unavoidable part of the process. True meaning, he argued, is often forged only in the intense fires of personal pain and existential struggle. When we face our suffering, not as passive victims, but as protagonists consciously seeking meaning and growth within the struggle, that pain transforms from pointless agony into valuable, profound psychological growth and wisdom. It is through wrestling honestly with the shadow and the difficulties of life that we truly earn our integrated self and our enduring purpose. Jung put immense spiritual and ethical responsibility on the individual. He argued that we are not just passive products of our environment or simple biological machines. We have a profound moral obligation to increase our consciousness and awareness. To find purpose is to become radically aware of our underlying motives, our complexes, our dominant archetypes, and our unique place in the vast cosmic narrative. This expanded awareness doesn't just benefit us personally. It ripples outward, benefiting the entire collective world around us, leading to more ethical, conscious, and ultimately meaningful human interactions. Crucially, you must understand that purpose, according to Jung, is not a single static destination you arrive at and stay forever, like a job title or a finished degree. It is a dynamic, evolving, and ongoing process. Individuation continues until the day you die, as new aspects of the unconscious are always ready to surface. The meaning you find today might evolve and deepen tomorrow as new complexes emerge or new challenges arise. This constant unfolding keeps life engaging, challenging, and profoundly prevents the psychological stagnation and boredom that inevitably lead back to existential despair. Embrace the constant process, not the illusion of a final arrival. So, how do you practically start doing this transformative Jungian work right now? Try the method of active imagination. It's a technique where you consciously engage with your unconscious figures like the shadow or the anima animus through dialogue, visualization, or dedicated journaling. Instead of just passively observing your troubling thoughts, you talk to them, asking what they want, why they are causing difficulty, and what message they are trying to deliver to your consciousness. This shifts you from being a passive recipient of neurosis to an active, powerful participant and shaper of your own psychic drama. Ultimately, the goal of individuation is the realization of the self in Jungian terms, is the total integrated personality, the unifying center of both the conscious and unconscious mind. When you manage to live authentically from the self, you naturally radiate purpose because you are finally aligned with your deepest internal truth, manifesting your unique essence in the world. Jung showed us that the search for meaning is fundamentally the search for self, and that search remains the greatest, most necessary psychological adventure available to human beings throughout their entire lifespan. This whole arduous journey, friends, is about becoming who you already are, stripping away the layers of expectation, fear, and cultural conditioning that obscure your core. Carl Jung didn't offer a simple quick fix or a 5-step plan. He offered the only honest, authentic, and truly rewarding path to a meaningful life. It's tough, it's necessary, and it's unbelievably rewarding. If this deep dive into the shadow and the path to profound purpose resonated with your soul, please hit that like button right now. Tell me in the comments below, what part of your shadow are you ready to finally face and integrate today? Subscribe right now for more existential breakthroughs and psychological wisdom. Share this vital message with someone you know who is struggling with finding meaning. And I will see all of you next time for another deep dive. Thank you for tuning in.